Okay, I cannot.
I can't deal with TikTok. No.
What's up, guys? It is your girl Sarah from Sarah's Styles here. Welcome to Monday. Welcome to Monday. You made it.
Success.
It has been a week, right? We were talking about that behind the scenes. We probably won't get into that on this, but it has been a week. So welcome. This is every single Monday, 6 p.m. Mountain Standard. I have on other resellers, big, small, it doesn't matter. Side hustle to full-time resellers. I like talking to everyone. I think we all have something to contribute, whether you are, huge like Leslie is and has 17 billion avenues, or, itty bitty and you aren't even really on social media. So if you would like to come on, you can send me a DM and you're welcome. Anyone's welcome on the video. And if you're kind of shy away from the video, you are welcome on the chat every single week, kind of like a staff meeting. I'm no longer in corporate America, but apparently we have staff meetings for a reason, and I kind of actually miss them. So here we are in our staff meeting. I'm here with Leslie and Ashley. If you guys do not know these wonderful, amazing resellers, their links are down below, and you can follow them. Both of them have YouTube, social media as well, but I will let them introduce themselves. I will let them introduce themselves as we wait for people to kind of pop on. We went live, right? Yes. Okay. Sometimes the comments take a minute to come in. And so I was like, have I been talking for 5 minutes?
There is a lag on the computer. It goes faster on the app. I'll go first then. Hello, everyone. My name is Leslie, better known as a Reseller's Passion everywhere. You just put in a Reseller's Passion, you Google me. You can talk to Siri. You can talk to Alexa. I can't say that too loud because my Alexa starts going like, what?
Alexa.
And I am a full-time entrepreneur. Reselling is one of my many businesses that actually got me started on the whole journey. It's been 2 years since I stepped in front of the camera on YouTube and Instagram, and I'm super excited that I've gotten to this place and meeting all these people. Meeting Sarah has been one of the highlights of my journey, and just meeting Ashley as well. I love coming on Sarah's channel, and I'm waiting for an invite from Ashley. I thank you all for showing up.
Wink, wink, Ashley.
I know. I haven't had a live stream or hosted anyone live, and Leslie is like, I am there when you are ready. Hello.
I'm a troublemaker like that.
And that's why I adore you. So my name is Ashley. I am a part-time reseller based in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, representing friends to the north. You can find me on YouTube at Ashley Gibson, and then on all other social media at Ashley DTL. By day, I'm an operations manager for a small business, and by night, I am a part-time reseller who loves fashion and social media, and reselling really combined those two for me. And I love this community, and I love connecting with the community, especially because Poshmark only launched in Canada in 2019. So it's been a pretty cool ride.
So are you only on I think you're one of the few, if not only, Canadian people I've had on. And I forget that. We were talking before and I was like, oh yeah, you're in Canada. You don't have to deal with the chaos that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah.
Are you only on Poshmark or are you on other places too?
So I have recently ventured into eBay. I now have 10 listings on eBay. Last week, I was on Leslie's channel, I had 9, and now I have 10 listings. I added a Patagonia jacket last night. Very excited. I got one watcher. I got a watcher, my first watcher. I'm very excited. But yeah, I've only been on Poshmark just because I am part-time, and I wanted to kind of explore the platform. And initially when I joined Poshmark, I didn't even think I was going to turn it into a thing. I just thought I was going to sell some of my own clothing, and then it turned into something bigger. So in 2020, I focused all of my attention on Poshmark and then growing my YouTube channel as well. And then I set a goal for this year to just dip my toe into the eBay water and see how it goes. And my goal for the end of January is to get 20 listings up. So I'm about halfway there, and just seeing how it goes and kind of opening up eBay as another avenue for myself.
And Leslie, you've recently gone back to eBay, right? You kind of banned it last year, but I've been watching you, and you're back.
About eBay. Well,
you're back to it.
yes, I am back to eBay, and I did walk away. I wouldn't ban it because I want to always promote for other people. I don't want anyone to get discouraged, and I always also explain myself. And so I recently took on a cross listing platform, List Perfectly, and due to that venture, I decided to step back into the world of eBay. Okay. And it has been a really great decision. I just take my time. I just make sure I'm not getting frustrated or anything like that. And because I'm cross listing, I have 500 items on Poshmark. So I just started listing them and the sales were coming in. I actually have a video where I show you how I made my first $1,000 within a couple weeks, just kind of playing around. Now I'm up to 50 sales. And this is the shocker I'm about to tell you. Our good friend Chris from Daily Refinement had a video where he just talked about, the individual things you can do on eBay. It was recently, and he talked about how women are like really influential in this business. I am very successful on Etsy. So what I did was I created a brand new eBay store, which is vintage. So I take those Etsy vintage items and cross list them, and I've already started making sales. So I have 2 eBay stores, and that's how I started off. I started off with 2 eBay stores. I've made a lot of money in 3 months, stayed on for a year, and then left. That was the venture that allowed me to come home full time. I sat down, I made thousands of dollars, I saved money, and I was able to walk away from my job. So I always tell people that if you want to make money fast, eBay is the way to do it. I just wasn't in the headspace to do eBay right at that time. And I'm convincing my husband, well, I'm not convincing him, but I had just recently said to him, because he gave up eBay. He's been off 6 months. Yes.
Wait, what? Now I not know this.
Oh my God. Yes. We're in January. I want to say last May, I want to say, he gets really frustrated with the fees. And that's how I started this journey. He was already a reseller selling on eBay and Amazon, but he was getting frustrated with the fees. And so he gave it up. He's like 100% Poshmark, and he just started selling on Grail, but he really likes Poshmark. He's an excellent seller. So
this is mind blowing to me because I just see him as eBay. How did I not know this? That's interesting.
Well, this is a funny thing. And he said to me, I said to him, well, I'm using List Perfectly, so I'm going to start. Oh, good luck to you. Good luck. And I said, it doesn't hurt to try. Yeah. And I said, honestly, I'm going to tell you, and I say it to everyone, all the videos that I make, the only reason that I'm back, because we have, we're juggling, and I don't want to hire anybody or do anything till I move. We're moving in May. Yeah. I have enough on my plate, so I can't even think about anything. I just want to focus, and I can just take and cross list like every day if I want to cross list 20, right? But this is the seller for him. He is reconsidering because of managed payments.
Oh, managed payments, PayPal's awesome.
Game changer, right? Yeah. So that is a game changer. All your fees and everything, and bam, that money in your account is yours. And
it's transparent. You can see where it goes. You can, yes, yeah, agreed. I came in.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I came in really hard in 2020. And so like kind of PayPal, and y'all know me, I like numbers, right? And I was like, yeah, it's hard to even figure out what's going on. Managed payments, it's still kind of complex because eBay has like fees, all kinds of weird places, but it's there and easier and you can see it right away for sure. So I was going to, and the other thing I was going to note too, so those who don't follow Leslie or don't know Leslie, she has eBay knowledge as well. So like coming back to eBay and making the money, you're not learning it over again, right? We're starting it from scratch. We're Ash that.
So definitely. Before I cut off Ash, that's the key to it. So it may, and I was having this discussion yesterday that if you're new, you still need to do research, watch people's videos, take your time, and put in everything that eBay asks you, learn everything. But I already knew going on because I heard somebody talking just today, which is really smart to list on eBay first. Now, what I explain to people, I am cross listing. So I already have existing listings. It doesn't make sense for me to list something on eBay right now where I have 500 items that I can just cross list over. So once I finish cross listing over, then anything new I will put in eBay first. And that's what I've been doing. I did some sourcing this week and I put some things into eBay, and you fill everything in, and it is easier to cross list, especially if you're going to cross list to another platform like Mercari or Etsy that has a lot of fillers like eBay does.
Yeah. And so, I mean, the reason, just for people who are new and not really familiar with all the platforms, eBay has probably 1,000,000,002 fields to fill out. So
I would say maybe 1,000,000,003. Like, there's so many. And in Canada, we don't have a cross-listing platform available to us. Like, List Perfectly and Vendu don't work in Canada yet.
Oh, why?
Yeah, because they haven't offered it to us yet. Like, I'm sure there's things in the back end. I don't know. Leslie and I were like, hello, Canada.
Josh or Thomas from Vendu, hit up Alex and the other people over at List Perfectly. Because I know people, so we're gonna have to get it. They're losing a whole market right there. Poshmark Canada, come on now. eBay aside, Poshmark itself, right?
Yeah.
There's at least 1 million users on Poshmark in Canada now. So, probably a lot of them are just, buyers or casual sellers, but there definitely is a market for it. So I'm waiting. So I am definitely learning like the ins and outs of eBay on my own, because I don't have a cross-listing platform. So I'm just like, cool, this I think is made for this weather. And like, the fields are so weird on eBay. Why are they so weird?
It's like a love-hate relationship, because there's so many fields, right? But the reason that they have so many fields is that the buyer who wants your specific item can find it. Because Poshmark, you want something, like I can't even find my own listings in my own store to take off when they sell on eBay. Like I can't even search. I'm like, I know I have this, I listed it, and I can't find it. So it makes sense, right? Like it's helping us, but listing on there is like torture. But I think maybe it's good, maybe to learn it inside and out.
I'm definitely learning. I could do without eBay's passive aggressive messages to add more fields. I've added like 10 for this listing. Is this not enough for you, eBay? Like, why do you feel like I need even more? So the passive aggressive messages I could do without, but I'm definitely learning it. And, I think that'll help me get better on eBay in the long run.
My goal is just to fill in that blue circle at the top. As soon as that blue circle fills in, I'm like, man, I got it. You ever see that little circle? Like as you fill things in, it asks.
Oh, yeah.
As soon as that blue circle goes boom, boom, I'm done. Like,
yeah, but even then, and some other things, I was just looking, I brought up my eBay app. I have 942 recommended item specifics. Like, get out of here. I'm not doing that.
Isn't there supposed to be some like a cutoff? It's February 21st or something. It says that these things have to be in there or something.
Yes, valid question. So there's recommended, and that's my 942, and there's has to be. Yeah. And there's different categories. So women's clothing, which is what I mainly do, the cutoff is sometime in January. And I had like 13 left this week that I was like, fine. I was waiting for them to sell. I was like running sales because I did not want but there's one design, and if you do not fix the updated fields, then they will not show your items. The recommended is, yes, Ashley's passive aggressive. We added these new fields, but some of them, like I'm trying to think, a lot of them don't make sense. I'm like, you can't like.
No, they don't make sense, especially when you're brand new.
In there, I just put NA. It's not applicable. It doesn't, or none, and it's at least it's giving eBay something, and I haven't had a problem. But what I will say is. One point is, if you want to sell international, you want to fill in a lot of those fields. Like we take for granted because we're in the US a size 8, but the UK has a different size. And that's also like, I have these Zara shoes and it's like a size 38, right? So it's the equivalent. It's the same thing, right? So you need to know this sizing because you want to sell overseas if you're open to do that. So
sizing I can understand, but it's like, what season is this good for? And like these very like specific things that I just think are very strange. I could apparently rant about this for a really long time, but I've been getting into the weeds with this as I've been starting to list things, and having been a Poshmark seller just over the last year and a half, like we're very spoiled over there when it comes to listing. Like it makes me feel bad for any time that I didn't want to list something on Poshmark. I'm like, well, it's so easy there. Like I bum, and it's done.
Yeah. And it's not, but then it's also like, I pay a lister now. So I actually don't list. I'm trying to remember, but there's fields on Poshmark that I'm like, is it shorts maybe? There's something that I'm like, why is this not an option or a skirt? There's something that's like very specific that I'm like, why is this, like, this is a thing.
Duncan's making a good point because I sell a lot of vintage. So I love vintage, and he's talking, it's the same as collectibles. It's really only a few things you have to fill in. You fill that blue circle filled in because it's like vintage. They don't care. They just want to know how old it is, maybe the brand. I hit unknown if I don't know. And so those things I really like, but it's the clothes and the shoes that you have to really get into when they talk the material and all that. But so if you're into vintage, or if you want to delve into that pool and don't want to deal with all the other stuff that eBay requires, vintage and collectibles and antiques is the way to go. Like 3 or 4 spaces and you're done.
Yeah. And something someone told me, and I don't know if you know this, Ashley, but when you're listing, it has all the fields and then there's like a little number above it. And that's how many searches for the item. Yeah. And so if that number is low, then it's like, I'm usually like, meh, like not worth it. But if it's like 7 trillion searches, then that's probably something about you. And you nodded that you knew that. But for people who don't know, let me pop into the chat. I always forget. We get so enthralled in my guests that I forget. What is up? Wendy is here. Michelle, thanks for joining, Michelle. Oh, and I would need to make Michelle a moderator. Terry's here. Terry's been on. Welcome, Terry. Friends, these are all Leslie's people. She has a whole crew.
My people. No, we're all a community.
I can call on my people now, too. They've been on my channel. Michelle saying, I love how to ask if it has a character or a theme for the clothing, but does not have an option to put none or not applicable. Right. Most don't.
Yeah, I type it in. I put N/A, and then you hit it, and then it will pop up into the section. Yes, it'll hit it. You have to click.
It closes the circle.
Mm-hmm. Yep. That's what I do. I use none or NA all the time, Michelle.
Okay. Yeah. Put that in your auto text thing. All right. So I want to kind of talk mostly because I know that Leslie sets new goals and it is the new year and I'm nosy and I haven't had time to watch all of Leslie's new videos and Ashley's as well. So I'm just going to ask you the questions that I want to know. It's 2021 and hooray, we made it. What are your guys' goals kind of moving forward for your business? Ashley, you mentioned a little bit of, I wrote down YouTube. Did you mention that?
Yeah. So
it was 10 minutes ago. I can't remember.
You are with me and it is excellent. So I started YouTube last January and had these aspirations to do YouTube because I found that there weren't a ton of Poshmark channels relating to Canada then. And I still think it's, there's a heck of a lot less of us than there are in the US. And then 2020 happened. And, my channel, I didn't grow it the way that I wanted to, or I didn't make as many videos as I wanted to. And so YouTube is definitely a focus for me for 2021 and just being really intentional. And, my goal is to have at least a video for each week of the year. So I'd love to do 52 videos in the year. I am working towards getting monetized. So I'm well on my way there, which is exciting. And just continuing to make good content and, continuing to learn more about YouTube. So that's that's a focus for me. Yeah.
And I wanted to ask, I wrote down something and you were talking and then I forgot about, sourcing. I'm going to come back to that because I'm going to try and stay on one topic at a time, but I want to come back to sourcing because Canada is I've had a couple Canadians ask me and I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like I tell them and they're like, I can't do that. I'm like, I got nothing then. Those are
okay. We'll come back there. Well, I do
want to talk about YouTube because Leslie recently got monetized. It's kind of one of my goals for the year too, depending on what it is. So I kind of want to talk a little bit about YouTube, plans that we have, like how you're going to make it happen. So Leslie, you can share all your goals, but then if you have a YouTube goal as well too, and then we'll kind of divulge into that.
Yes. So I have a goal for people who don't know. I have another channel on Instagram. You're probably more aware of it. It's Am I Really Bald? And that's where I talk a little bit about like my alopecia life. I have alopecia, which is an autoimmune disease. Ashley and I were talking about that, 2 different types for each of us. And so that's hair loss for me. And I was just posting pictures, and I started my channel back in May, and I only put out like 5 videos. So now I'm turning that into a whole lifestyle blog where I'm going to be focusing on lifestyle, over 50, hair loss. I'm going to be cooking, baking. I already have some videos and I'm going to be dropping this week. And they're going to be 2 to 5 minute videos. And I'm going to try to put out, at least in the beginning, so I can get some momentum, about 5 videos a week. But they're short though. They're not like the videos I do like now, because I'm not really big on editing, but I do want to make sure these are like more cohesive and cleaner and lighting and the whole thing, because of course, you know, I am a professional baker. I'm ServSafe certified. So what I also want to do is incorporate some healthy baking. I'm going to take some of the things that I used to have a dessert business where I baked gluten-free, egg-free, vegan. I did all those things, healthy choices, people who had celiac disease, and took regular recipes and converted them for anyone. Like I could take a recipe and tell you how to make it without eggs. I can tell you how to make it without dairy. So that's what I want to try to do.
And still taste good, because that's a skill.
Oh yeah, that was my business. Yeah, that's I say it all the time. I got my husband with the vegan carrot cake. So like that was what I did for my children. Went to like a Montessori school, and a lot of the kids had like all these allergies. School actually hired me to take care of their parties, and so I would make these desserts that everyone could eat, you know, unless you had a soy challenge or something.
Yeah.
I had one family, they had 5 children, and I would bake. They would buy all my cakes for everybody in the family, and everyone was allergic to soy too. So that was crazy. So they were eating cakes, whatever desserts. Yeah. So I just want to incorporate more of that, and then grow a reseller's passion, see where that can go. It is monetized. I just hit 1,000. I'm almost at 1,600, which is amazing. And I just say, you know, go slow, have fun with it. For anyone who's thinking about doing it, I love Ashley's channel, and definitely I love Sarah's channel.
I don't know, like, don't listen to her when she says go slow. Leslie, how many videos do you have? You like hit the ground running maybe 3 months ago or something. You're monetized, you have 1,600 followers. You probably have like 70 billion videos, right?
256 videos.
Oh, right. Go slow. I'm like, every time I look, Leslie,
why? And so, like, because we talk about like views and things, and sometimes I look like, yeah, my views could be a little bit more, but like what I'm doing, not everyone is interested in that. So if you click and you see keywords, like I'm a reseller, but I do have other things, but people, because they come from my community, or you know, YouTube pushes out there, they're going to see me as a reseller. So we know some videos are hit or miss, right? So not everyone's going to be interested, but you are going to have those people who want to know how to grow Instagram. Like for me, why wouldn't you want to know how to grow Instagram? You don't want to just come and see unboxings on my video, on my channel, but I do a little bit of everything. So that's why some will go really low and some will go high. And I haven't hit like a whole lot of 400 marks or anything like that. But you know what? I'm having fun. And for me, my channel or anything that I do that is not selling is a creative outlet. And I believe that everyone should have some type of creative outlet that gives them peace, that brings them joy. And I'm one that I just carry my tripod around the house like all day long. And whatever I can get, that's my stories during the day. And it makes me feel really good. And if I can make a video and then be monetized for just something that I'm already doing, why not? Some people, they put so much effort in it and then they're wondering why they're not growing. Just that's why I say go slow, because it did start off slow. And it still amazes me. Anything Instagram and all this, it amazes me every day. And so I just keep showing up.
Well, and social media too. And I mean, all of that we do, social media and reselling, there's a lot of overlap, right? And consistency, resellers, right? Like consistency is huge. And I think in social media, it is that way too. Even if you don't know all of the SEOs or you're still learning and figuring that out, if you are on there consistently, they do start to. And the thing, I've been on for about 2.5 years, and I don't know why this never clicked. It recently clicked that even my videos a while ago, once I grow, people are now like, oh, I'm watching this whole playlist. You know, so like those are starting to grow too. So the videos that you're doing now, even if they only have a couple of views, eventually, if you keep with it, and it makes sense, but that just dawned on me. Actually,
I have people every day who send me DMs and say, I started your channel. And that's kind of how I started. My friend Nikki Glow Girl Glow, she had watched all my videos. It was only 30 at that time. And that's when from January to March, and then I took a whole year off. And she sent me a message and said, Okay, so what happened to your videos? I said, well, how about if you look at the 195 I have on IGTV? So between the 256, I have up to about 250 on IGTV. So yeah.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, don't listen when she says go slow. Okay, Ashley, so you're doing one, because this is your part-time gig. So
Yeah.
reselling and doing social media part-time, you're trying to aim for well, you said 52 a year, so maybe not one a week. On average, one a week.
There's 52 weeks in a year.
Yeah. But like you could do, like you miss a week, you would do the next week. You just
Yes, yeah, but like
it was for the year. So I didn't want to construe that.
Yeah, no, I'd like to have, by the end of the year, have done 52 videos on YouTube, get monetized. That's kind of like my goal around YouTube. And then I have goals relating to my reselling business. 2020 was my first full year of reselling. And so it's kind of like my baseline, and it was during a global pandemic. So I feel like 2021, I can take everything that I learned, use my Sarah Styles LLC dashboards to the best of their ability, which is awesome. And just like continue to kind of grow that. And I have, some sales goals and listing goals and that kind of thing, but just taking what I learned and really scale it, and continue doing it. And, to Leslie's point, like continue having fun with it. Like I started this because I had some, clothes in my closet that I wanted to get rid of. And then I was like, ooh, I love fashion. Ooh, I love social media. Ooh, I love people and engaging with the community. And so all of those things are what made it fun for me. And I want it to continue being fun because it is what I do in my quote unquote spare time when I'm not working. But it is a pretty big part of my life now.
So what have you learned that you're willing to share? I don't want to take all your secrets, but I mean, you said that let's get into it. What have you learned, either YouTube or reselling? Like, what have you learned over 2020 and progressed that you'll be using moving forward?
Yeah, I think consistency, you already mentioned this, but that is huge. Like whether it's reselling, whether it's listing, whether it is making YouTube videos, whether it's showing up on social media, I think consistency and building those habits is a huge part of growing and building any business. And I saw how that played out in 2020, like, in the summer when I didn't feel like showing up on YouTube because I was dealing with life and a pandemic and health stuff and a job change, like, I saw the growth that I was experiencing go down. And I was like, okay, cool. Like if I can turn that around, I can start to see growth again. So I think consistency is huge. Duncan, I'm going to give you all the secrets. Don't worry. I think, especially being a Canadian reseller, just like listening to what people say, taking it with a grain of salt, trying it, and like doing my own thing. I think in any industry, but especially as a reseller, it's really easy to get caught up and be like, well, so-and-so who has 20,000 followers said that this was a Bolo brand. So I'm going to pick up this terrible t-shirt that's going to cost me $20 and I'm going to put it in my store. And it's like, well, that's not really going to work that way. So I think like being able to listen and be a little sponge and take all the information in, but then try it for myself and see what worked and what doesn't work, and really apply it to my own business. So like, I think that's been a huge part of my learning.
You are totally speaking my language. And I think it's amazing that there's so much information out there for resellers, but something different works for everybody. And it's when I was starting, I was like, oh, let me try this. But then I didn't know how, like there was no tools for me to know, or people would be like, oh, this sells well. And I'm like, but like, what does that mean? Like, what is well to you? And what is, which is where kind of, the dashboards came for me, is take something that someone is saying and then see how that actually works for me. Or you don't have access to, like, I'm not going to get hauls like Nicole States gets. Like, yay for her, but like, that's not my business plan. It's just not going to happen for me. So the inventory that I do have access to, like, how can I make that work for me?
Totally. Yeah. And I'm seeing just some like comments and questions about consistency. I think for me as a part-time reseller, it's about figuring out what I can do in the pockets of time that I do have and maximizing my time. So for me, I know that it's probably not realistic that I'm going to photograph during the week, because especially in Toronto in January, like the natural light window is small. And also just like during my busy day, it's not realistic to like batch work a whole bunch of photos. So I will maximize that time on the weekend. I did it this weekend where I sorted all of my inventory that I had. I had like 75 new items come in. I had like 3 different shipments because everything's closed here. And I, sorted it all. I made all my notes. I put it into my spreadsheet. I started photographing everything. So that way during the week, I can list 5 or 10 a day.
Mm-hmm.
And, I can do that in the morning or in the evening. And I have everything ready to go. Like all my research is done. The photos are done. I am just ready and I can plug it in. And so that has helped me to be consistent, that like batch working and knowing how and when to batch work to make myself more effective the rest of the time.
Yeah. And I think it's something, I know Leslie's going to speak to this because she loves batch work too. And I do as well. And I'm noticing most people, and everyone has something different, but most sellers that I talk to that are their form of success, right? Everyone has a different definition, but who they deem successful does some kind of batch work, some kind of, because you have to stay consistent. Poshmark, I think part of why Poshmark is nice for part-time side hustlers is the consistency isn't as key. If you have a couple days when you don't want to do anything, it doesn't completely like throw you off, where eBay wants you to be on there all the time. In short periods, like you only have to list, I list 10 a day and it takes me 10 minutes because I have drafts ready, but they want you to be on it all the time. Where Poshmark, you could be, I don't want to do this for a week and not, and then you start sharing again and boom, you have sales. But I think a common thread that I'm noticing with people that staying consistent is doing this type of batch work. I'm going to let you take that over, Leslie, because I know you're going to have stuff to say about that because we've chatted about that and I've watched some of your videos. I'm a huge fan of batch work as well.
Yeah, I want to say hey to everyone there. Wendy's family girl, Amber Resells. I love Amber. She probably, every time I see her, I say that. She was one of the first people like I watch because that analytic thing. I'm not analytical, but I love someone who can give it to you straight.
And she does. She is phenomenal. If you guys do not follow Amber Resells, her videos, even her controversial videos, I'm like, I love. They're not controversial. I mean, they are, but she's just like straight. But like, she's very good.
And that's what I like. I like people. It's nice to support our friends and everything, but just give it to me straight. Give me, something. I love learning. I love teaching. That's why I like Sarah's videos as well.
And she read 200 pages, the 200-page IPO. That alone,
she deserves a medal for that, like an award, an Oscar,
the work. Oh my gosh, yeah,
something.
Woo! So let's speak to So I just recently last week dropped the video, and I actually combined my batching technique, or how I batch for reselling, creating videos, and also social media. So that is one video if you want to go watch it. Of course, I do everything in like a simplistic way and I break it down for you. Batching is really important. And what I want people to understand, it doesn't matter if you're part-time or full-time. When I started reselling, I was part-time. So I incorporated a whole lot of techniques, which I still use today. Now it's a little bit more casual because I try not to overwhelm myself. I am 51 and I have like no children at home. I mean, Thomas and I could literally live off his pension if I could stop working, but I do this for me because I want to have money and I want to be able to have some things for the future. So I have, I usually take photos Mondays and Wednesdays. Like today, I took a lot of photos. You could see that in my post, and I did a reels today on my little steaming and things like that. See, that's how you create content. Just film it. But I think it's really important. So on a Monday, I put my coffee on. I talk about this all the time. I put my coffee on, 10 minutes, challenge myself. What can I get done in 10 minutes? I steam and I'll photograph, and then I'll let it sit there for a little bit, or maybe I'll pour a cup and say, you know what? I can get about 20 more items done. And the key to batching is not processing everything in that day. It was exactly what Ashley said, like literally coming up with a technique, a schedule, or write it down. How are you going to like break it down during the course of the week? That is the saving grace for me. I'm not a person who lists 50 things a day. People have these challenges and things, and I say, bless you, sweetie. I'm not even from the beginning. I've never listed like 50. Like my husband, who is to me a superb reseller, like he does a lot of everything, but he'll actually sit down 2 days a week and list. And that's it, because he doesn't have the time. He does other things. He's retired, but he's still always doing things. And he'll list just those 2 days, and then he'll share on Poshmark or whatever it is he desires. And he's still making sales. And what Sarah said holds true. You can list, if you decide to list 5 a day on Poshmark, even if you can't, if you're a person who share a little bit. Poshmark just wants you to show it a little bit of love. But eBay, the beast, it wants. You got to feed it. That's so you have to feed it. And if you feed it 5 pieces of something a day, you're going to make some sales, but definitely batch. Don't overwhelm yourself. Figure out something. It's so even working around children. Like I didn't do this when I had children, but I had other businesses when I had 5 children. So when you say you can't do it, I just go, okay, then you're not hungry enough. You don't have the desire. And that's not, talking about anyone, but it's like somebody can send me a message 20 times and I'm getting there. And you've lost me after the second, DM. Like, okay, do it.
It's priority because there is only so much time. Because I have 3 kids at home remote learning right now, 1 special needs, a 3 and a 5-year-old. So like, I don't have time. I completely get that, but it's prioritizing and it's fine if you don't want to, but it's a priority. I choose taking photos for my business instead of reading the book that I've been wanting to read for 2 years. Right. And neither is right or wrong. But yeah, you can manage it and make it work. And I like what you said about not processing it all, because that's what batch work is, right? Like you do all of similar type activities together. So you're not wasting you're using the best of your time. YouTube for me is very time consuming because I can't do it with children. I can take photos with children. My kids can come in and they help me ship. They're not on my YouTube. I don't put them on social media. You guys can see the backs of their heads in my stories, sometimes on Instagram, but social media. So I don't have as much time. So I have, as you were saying that, I'm thinking, and I have like 8 YouTube videos filmed. And then, because I filmed them all in one day, I was like, I have all the content, everything set up. I, combed my hair for the day, like, and then I have 8 videos. So then I just have to upload them. I have all of the content there, and then I can upload them and do all of similar type thumbnails. Do all the thumbnails at one time when I'm in that same mindset. I would say something else. Oh, and then for social media too, I think batch working absolutely for reselling. And I have kids and we're remote learning and we were on break for 3 weeks and I was like, okay, cool. Like this is when I'm going to get ahead. I got like 4 weeks ahead because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen next week. And if we get sick with 5 people, we're done for like a month, right? Like I get sick for a week and then my 3-year-old gets sick and I have to take care of him. And then my 5-year-old, and so getting ahead has really been a saving grace for me to be able to stay in this business and stay consistent. Yeah. And I'm talking like weeks ahead. Like I have, a month worth of YouTube content ahead. I have 4 weeks of listings ready ahead. And I know not everyone can get there. You have to do it at the level that you can, but with how inconsistent my life is, I really worked hard to get ahead of things as well. And for social media content, I find a lot of success in doing like series because then I don't have to think of things, right? Like I started a challenge and I was like, cool, every Monday, I know I have to post something and I don't have to think about what I'm going to post. I'm going to have to think about it, but I know it's going to be surrounding this challenge. And I have like a seller success series. And so boom, like those are already 2 days out of the week. Ashley, how are you, like social media wise? How do you try and stay consistent? I have a lot of people that are like, I don't know what to talk about. I don't know what videos. I don't know how to come up with the content.
Yeah. I really enjoy Instagram stories. And so I feel like that part kind of comes naturally to me where, I have different things I talk about each day. And I listened to a podcast recently that gave me some really great insight when it came to coming up with topics for social media. And it was around like photos in your feed and your captions. And the advice was basically to like create different topics that you talk about on social media. So for me, those topics are reselling. I talk about my health and I have Crohn's disease. So I talk about IBD, autoimmune Crohn's. I talk about mental health. I talk about grief. I talk about my cats. I talk about food. And I talk about general life stuff. And so those are kind of like the big buckets of topics that I talk about on my social media. And so what are photos that relate to those items? So maybe for reselling, it's a stack of packages. Maybe it is inventory that came in. Maybe it's a reel of me modeling some of the clothing. And so thinking about like what those photo topics are can just like help you to break down help you to break down those topics. And then in your grid, you can start to see like a pattern. So it's like, cool, I haven't posted about my cats lately. I'm going to post a photo of my cats. People seem to like that. And the same goes for your topics. So maybe they relate specifically to the photo. So it's like, cool, I posted a stack of packages. The beginning of December was very slow for me. So I talked about that. Or it could be something related to another one of the topics that I talk about. So when I heard that advice on a podcast, like it was really neat to just like break down what those topics are for myself. And I find that really helps with content idea generation. My social media, I don't tend to plan my grid like in advance, although I'd like to. It's just kind of not where I'm at. The pattern that I follow, if you go look at my Instagram, Ashley DTL, I have a photo of me, and then I have a photo that's not with me. And then I have a photo with me and not with me. And so that's kind of the pattern that I follow. And that helps me to stay focused and kind of know what's coming next.
I did that for a while. And even then I was like, it's too much. Like I liked the way that it looked, but then I was like, well, I don't have anything that's not a photo of me that I want to talk about today. And I have to like go to Canva and make something. And so I did it for a while, but it was just so time consuming to me. I love people's walls that are pretty. Like that have a flow and consistency. And maybe like when the kids finally go back, that'll be me. But I do like, because I noticed too, someone told me once that, the point as far as Instagram, and probably you can see it on, your YouTube, well as people is going through your videos, is I want to go to your Instagram and within, one scroll, I need to know, I can know what you're about.
Totally.
And so that's, picking out those topics, 5, 3, I've, read, you shouldn't have like a gazillion, between like 3 and 5. And I think you were around 5, what it is. And as you were saying that, like, I'm obviously data, right? I've noticed if I post too many graphs and charts, it's very scary to people. I like it. But not everyone's all about it. So I try and like hone in on that, but I'll scroll through and be like, oh, it's been like 3 rows and there's not a chart. I want people to know that I am about numbers. Let me go put a chart in there. Right. So it kind of does help break it down. I'm going to check in with the chat. We were talking about consistency and some people had some great ideas in here. Wendy is saying, I had to commit 2 days per week to list and source for Posh in order to stay consistent. Michelle, and I've noticed Michelle's efforts. She is definitely more consistent on social media right now. And you can tell I have been holding myself accountable to stay consistent by setting tangible goals on a daily basis, not setting the bar too high so I know I can accomplish what needs to get done. She has littles too. So I know what a struggle. Daily goals are hard because kids don't always allow you to do what you had in the day. So I like to stick with weekly goals. But I like that she said, not setting it too high so that you can make sure that you can get it done. Also loves batch work. Resale Secrets is saying, I just started using my hour by hour planner pages as a post activity diary ahead of a planner. Yes, I read that right. Color coded by each block of activity. Very informative how I'm spending my time. And I know I saw Amber Resales and I was going to say her name, but that's not Nicole State. I had Nicole State on the other day. And she was talking about, she is very much into like blocking, like I think down to 15 minutes. I mean, she's even said that she gets kind of anal about it, but blocking out that time. I think when you are a busy person, I'm like, this is the only time my kids are playing quietly today. And it's probably the only time they're going to for the rest of the day. I got to get to it. So I think like for me, I do that just kind of mentally in my head. Amber is saying I'm listening while driving, so I can't chat much, but thank you.
Amber.
Mara at Shopping Indefinitely. Hello. Shop Style.
Shop Style Affinity. That's Mar. She's my PFF here in Canada. She's a delight.
Thank you. I am so terrible. I totally ruined Veronica's name last week. It was clear as day once I saw that it was Veronica, but I would like chopped it. Resale Secrets. I include colors for personal time and household time. A parent would have kid time. That's all day. Eveless, if you guys missed them a couple of weeks ago, they are local to Colorado and have a, I think it's called drop shipping, probably is the formal word for it. But you can send your items to them and then they do the shipping. So if you tried ThreadUp and that didn't work for you, this would be similar. You don't have to store it; they ship it for you. You can just shop. So check that channel. The video was a couple of weeks ago. Lots of really good information that we had there. Let me see if you guys see anything else. I try and keep up with the comments. I usually just post what comes to my mind and speak to my heart. I don't really follow an aesthetic. However, I am not an expert. I think that is the underlining of social media, right? Like, and you're going to gain the most organic following if that's what you do.
I definitely think you should, do what works for you. With what Ashley's doing, I'm probably going to do that in my lifestyle blog where I'm doing a lot of everything. And so for resellers, because people are always sending me messages like, how can I grow on Instagram? And you don't have to overthink it. And that's really where the challenge comes in. We're thinking about what do we have to do. And that's why I said I carry my tripod. And the reason that I do is when I start off in the morning, like maybe just film a couple things. And actually that leads to my daily series. So I started my first post was me today steaming. Then I actually just took a little footage and turned that into a reels. And then I share that to my stories. Actually, I live in stories, like what Ashley was saying. If you can't do anything else, try to live in your stories during the day and maybe post once a week if you can commit to that too. But your stories is where, because you're telling a story and you can share other people's information. Like Ashley and I each talked about being on your show today. So we post that and then you share it, Sarah, and then that goes into your stories so that your stories is just someone should be able to click on your little circle and it should be something every day so they can keep coming back and seeing what you're doing. But
and
don't
Yeah, and I think the stories too, I mean, it's all important, but I think the stories really shows who you are, right? Because I mean, I know some people have like built content and it looks pretty and stuff, but for the most part, it's like, hey, here I am. It's a hot mess. This is what I'm doing right now. You can see the behind the scenes of your business, everything that you're doing. I liked this. I wanted to clarify. So Resale Secrets is saying, I don't block it out ahead and follow the schedule. I record it afterward to see what I actually did. And I really like that because then you'll probably start to notice patterns and start to see when you're using your time. So then moving forward, you can base off of that.
Yeah.
Sorry,
and the other thing that is that me?
Oh, what?
There was a back. Okay. I just wanted to say that, we often do get caught up and we see people putting out, making it pretty and everything else. I used to try to do that. All I do now is just focus on my color. So people know that pink is me and I just kind of live there, but just don't get overwhelming. The key to social media is being social. So it's engagement, right? Creating a call to action. Like Ashley was saying, if you put a photo out there, like if she has a photo of her cats, it's probably something else related and she can tell a story. She'll tell her story. And at the end, she'll ask you a question. Sarah does that all the time. And I do it. It's the call of action because you want to create engagement. The more engagement you have, Instagram doesn't care how many likes you have or how many follows. They care about the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So every day you should be doing something, and your stories is where people can engage with you every single day because you can create a poll, you can create a question. When I'm cooking something, I'll ask them if they like this or they cook or whatever. That is engagement. And Sarah talked about that a while ago for creating polls and things like that. But that's how engagement. If just engage people, you can engage right in your stories. How wonderful!
If you have a poll, it is like your natural instinct to want to answer the question. And so even if you have a hard time coming up with what you want to do, like post pictures. When I was, first trying to figure out what to do, I would post pictures of food. Like, do you like this food or like vacation spots? Which one would you rather go to? And people will just start to engage and come back for more. Ashley, what were you going to say? I feel like you keep cut you off.
No, it's okay. I love the conversation. I think, one of the things about social media, I think there's so much great information being shared. I think one of the biggest things is just being you and showing up as yourself and showing up authentically. And, that's why I connected with Leslie so much and yourself, Sarah. Like, you're both authentically you. And for me, as someone who's basically being a voyeur into your life through social media, like that's what I come for. I don't come for like the glossy photo, and it's lovely when someone's grid looks nice, but like I care about, seeing what Leslie's doing day to day, or, seeing your beautiful behind the scenes wintry stuff, Sarah. Like, there's so many different aspects to our personalities, and that's what people come to see. And so I think showing up as your authentic self, whether it's in a story, whether it's in a post, whether it's in a reel, whether you post a poll, like, there's so many different ways you can show up as your authentic self and show those different aspects of your life and your lifestyle. Like, that's what people come for. And I think that's the most important thing. And that will help to drive your growth, because there's no one else on earth like you.
And if I can piggyback just real quick, for me, it's really important to kind of show up every day, because I don't leave my house that often. Since I do work from home, I've made a commitment, because of everything that we're going on, to be conscious about who I'm around and who's around me. So I only go out of my house once a week. Now, I may go in my front lawn, put out the trash or whatever, but on Friday is when I go shopping. I used to have Instacart, but I wasn't really happy because I wanted to pick my own food. So I go out Friday. Thomas and I, that we go back to where we started. That's our date. That's how we used to date. We used to source and grocery shop and things like that, when that's how I got started. So on Friday we go shopping, and then we go to, I just went to the resale store, a Goodwill store, and we'll get something to eat. I'm out now. I'm ready to be home. So when I'm home every day, I have to continue to figure out, how can I engage with the community being home in a way that they're not going to get tired of seeing me. So I do that through the work. I do that through coffee. I do that through, today I'm editing my videos. So the reason that I'm sharing this is so that people can see that even if you think you have a dull and boring life, you have something to share. Ashley said that, be your true authentic self. And people want to see that. They want to go, like when Sarah posts those great pictures of babies hanging off of her, people want to see that. You don't know who you're going to touch that day. They just go, oh my gosh, now good. It's someone else. So just keep.
I would say someone else's. Yeah. And it blows because I am not on social media personally. I have a Facebook page. I didn't have Instagram or YouTube until, I started for the business. And I think my last post was, a picture of a kid 6 months ago or something. So I don't engage, like I engage for business, but it blows my mind what people are interested in. Like I'll post a picture, like I just posted my stories, like what is happening today. And some of the posts that have the most DMs, and I'm like, really? That's what was the most interesting thing about my day? Like, and so just post your day, and then you'll start to see what you enjoy posting about and what others do as well. But before, it's almost 7:00, and I want to talk about PoshMark Canada. So hopefully you can tell us everything there is in 9 minutes, Ashley.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So PoshMark Canada launched summer of 2019. After being in the US for quite a long time. I had been on the wait list because I'd heard a number of US bloggers talk about it. And I was like, ooh, that sounds fun. And I joined. We're now, as a PoshFest, we're up to over 1 million users in Canada. And that's wild. Like the growth has been huge. What do you want to know? Like, there's so many things I could talk about, but like, we're in a different country. Yeah. We have access to different things. Our shipping is $12.99.
Yes. And that's from what I've heard, I wrote down shipping because that seems outrageous for us. But from what I've heard, Poshmark shipping is actually a pretty decent deal. So you guys are getting, like, you get a lot of customers that way because you can get a lot for.
Yeah. I mean, shipping in Canada, it's generally a lot. Like it is more, and especially like, I think in Canada, like we're used to ordering things from the US and shipping costing more. And so I think there's like just a bit of a different mindset that we have where we're like, cool, shipping is going to cost a little bit more. But yeah, it is flat rate $12.99. We don't get free shipping supplies like y'all do, that USPS business. We have none of that. If you want to go buy a box at Canada Post, it costs $4.99 for like the medium size.
Oh.
It's not even a good box. Like, wow.
That's interesting because that's one of the upsides to selling on Poshmark is that for the most part, you don't have to buy supplies. So eBay, you get supplies with your store if you have a store. And I've actually used eBay supplies for Poshmark accidentally. But who cares, right? Like they get their package.
You were about sourcing as well, right?
Yes. Thank you for moderating my channel, Leslie, and keeping me intact. But I do want to, because that's the thing. So things are shut down right now. for you?
Yes. So I'm in Toronto, and we're in lockdown. We're in a 28-day lockdown, and we were in lockdown before that. So I haven't been thrifting in weeks. And a number of places that folks get inventory in the US, whether it's like liquidation boxes and that kind of stuff, like we have to take a number of things into account. The first is the Canadian dollar to the US dollar. So I think the dollar's around 130 right now. So if something costs $100 US, that's like 130 Canadian.
Yeah.
And then we're probably going to pay customs on it. So when it crosses the border, whatever the customs agent feels like charging that day is what we're going to pay. No, there's more of a science to it than that, but that's kind of what it feels like. I have a FedEx
really? That's
invoice.
how it works?
No, I have a FedEx invoice sitting here. I purchased a liquidation box from Boutique by the Box recently, and I owe them $112 for it crossing the border.
So that's not shipping. That's just
no. I paid Boutique by the Box shipping, and then FedEx sent me an invoice for $112.
Wow.
But the shipping, because I've had people, I've had people ask about liquidation, but they said the shipping is outrageous too, because then you're paying even more for shipping too, right?
Yeah, it really depends on the company. I ordered from Boutique by the Box, and it wasn't too bad, but then I felt really bad because they changed their shipping rates. Like, I made a video and then everyone's like, but the shipping says it's like $100 now. And I was like, ooh, I didn't pay $100. So you kind of have to look around and see what makes sense for you, right? So with these added costs, with the dollar rate, with the potential for customs, with shipping, like your cost per item for these liquidation boxes gets a lot higher. And depending on the contents of the box, you can decide if it makes sense for you and your business or not.
So you can't sell it any higher because you're competing with people who get it for lower, right? Like you can't just add that in because then you're competing.
Yeah. And I mean, it really depends on the item, right? Like if it's a higher end item, like it might be okay. But if it's like, a low end bread and butter item, like I don't want to pay that higher cost for it. So yeah, it really depends on you and what your business model is and what makes sense for your business. And, I've been trying out different things. I purchased a liquidation box from a Canadian company in April, which was terrible. It was so bad. Like it blew my mind how awful it was. Wow. The first thing I opened up, I was really excited. It was a winter jacket, which is part of the reason why. It was a manifested box. And so I saw the manifest. I was like, ooh, there's some winter jackets. There's a brand called Noise. They do beautiful vegan winter jackets that aren't filled with down. It was at the top of the box. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so exciting. Pull it out. Looks amazing. It's in my size. So I'm going to try it on. I went to put my arm through the sleeve and I couldn't get it through. And I was like standing there for like a couple of minutes. It was a defective jacket. So the sleeve had like wrapped itself around, like it had been sewn wrong, which is why it had been a liquidation return. But like I couldn't get my arm through. Fun fact, I cut it open and I ended up using it for myself for a little while. And then I ended up selling it on Poshmark, just like disclosing like how defective the sleeve was.
Wow.
But anyway, that was my first liquidation box. And I purchased it from a Canadian company because I'm like, shipping's not going to be as bad. There's not going to be customs. It's not going to be US dollar. And it was bad. I have like 10 items left from that box in my Poshmark closet. Someone liked one today. I was like, here, have a 30% off offer. Please take the shirt. Like, take it away.
So there's not really a lot of liquidation. Like, was that one of the few that you could find? There's not a lot of places in Canada.
There's some, but it's the same as trying to find your own liquidation places in the US, right? Like you have to do your research and so much of it is a crapshoot, right? So this was a bad experience. I have ordered a couple from the US now, and I'm just experimenting to see what works for me and, what a customs fee is going to be and what that's going to look like. But yeah, it is a little bit different. I ordered recently some of the Plato's closets in my area. I did a YouTube video about it that I posted over the weekend. They all went online. They created Shopify stores. So I purchased a bunch of inventory from a bunch of Plato's closets in my area. So that was an interesting option. I made my first ThreadUp purchase a couple weeks ago. But again, with ThreadUp, it's like, cool, the price looks great. But then, US dollar, shipping, customs, like, those things add up. So I ended up just purchasing 2 pieces. One that was like a higher end. It's a Veronica Beard skirt. It's new with tags. It looks really great. And a dress for myself. But, just again, it's like, it's one big experiment to see what things cost, but also to see what does well in the Canadian market and, what brands and styles and things people are jazzed about and the items that people actually want to buy and what's in demand.
Well, and I think there's a comment because this makes sense. It hadn't crossed my mind when I said this. So I'm glad that she clarified. Well, there aren't really competing on Poshmark since Poshmark Canada only sells to Canada. So what you're purchasing, even if you have a higher cost, you're competing with other people that are doing this same thing, right? So you're not necessarily,
Correct.
I was envisioning that, although on eBay you would be competing, but on Poshmark, you're only selling to Canada. So other resellers are paying what you're paying too, right? So like if they're having a hard time, so is everyone else, unless there's one reseller out there who has all the secrets. And
totally.
then
Yeah. Let me know what the secrets are. Poshmark has talked about cross-border shipping at PoshFest last year and the year before. So it is something that they're working on, but I imagine it's still going to take a little while. And also, like, Poshmark Canada, it's only been around a year and a half. Like, it'll be 2 years in May. So it is still so new. But it'll be very interesting to see when they open up cross-border shipping, how that impacts Canadians, how that impacts Americans. I feel like y'all will have it a little bit better, but we'll see.
So you're new to eBay, so you may not be able to speak to this, but I'm thinking in my mind, it just makes more sense for you to be on eBay.
Yes, but okay, I'm still figuring it out. But like, there's still there's ebay.com and ebay.ca. And I watched some videos about the differences, and I was just like, I'm part-time. I don't have energy to spend on this. So I've opened up my eBay listing so that I can sell to US buyers if they're interested. But I believe my listings are still on ebay.ca, and like, someone can tell me how to do it, but I'm not going to switch it because I have part-time energy for this. And like, eBay is like very part-time energy. Like, it's like a very small part of my time.
Part-time of your part-time.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like, I think that's one of the things about, when you're an entrepreneur, when you're a reseller, when you're doing all of these different things, it's like, okay, if I have a pie of like everything, how much of my pie is going to that? And for me right now, eBay's like a sliver of the pie. Like, she's a small slice. Like, she's an important slice because I'm like, cool, I want to get this going. But like, compared to Poshmark, where I've already grown my audience, I know what sells, I know what I'm doing there, compared to YouTube, compared to Instagram, compared to hanging out with my cats, like, eBay
falls below hanging out with the cats.
My cats are really cute. Like, you can go see them on my Instagram. They're adorable, and they have far fewer fields, and they're much less passive aggressive.
Oh, Ashley, you're adorable.
eBay, I agree. eBay is definitely intense. It took me 8 months of like putting my toe in and being like, this is too much. I hate eBay every single day because there's so much to learn. But then once you get there, you're like, okay, that was worth it. But I totally get like your part-time of your part-time. And I'm kind of heading there with with the kids in school and me realizing that like, they're going to be in school all year. I know it's already been half a year, but like over break, I was like, okay, this is like a legit thing. Like, it's not like, let's try and just make it through. It's a full year of education. I need to actually hunker down and like give them value instead of just trying to make it through the week. So something's going to have to give, and I'm trying to figure out right now there's only so much of me to go around. And my mental capacity too, right? Like, there's enough hours I could work every weekend. But yeah, if your cats are more enjoyable than eBay, go with
Resale secrets. Cats have no returns. I don't have returns in eBay either. So, we're level playing field there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's all about prioritizing, what it is. And I'm the same way. It seems like I'm like very busy, but I'm also like narrowing it down. It also helps to, whatever I'm interested in the most. So this week I'm delving into my dashboards finally. Sarah, I'll probably be sending her messages during the course of the week, because I said I held off till 2021. But yeah, I'm just prioritizing and getting rid of things that I don't want to do and actually focusing on the things that are really important. And I think that's key. I want to make money, and this business that started off as fun, I still make it fun, but I make money, and I see the potential of really making great money. That's why I brought eBay back on, and I'm making money because it's things I want to do, like move and buy a car.
I'm taking a note from you because a lot of my business decisions come from numbers. But you and just a lot of other people are, if it's things that I've said, I don't want to do this all week, like it's a chore. Those are things that I'm really considering while they make me money right now. The kids will eventually be back to school. They have to. It has to happen. And then I can go back to that. But the thing that the past couple of weeks that I'm like, I don't want to do this right now and I have to force myself to do it, those might be the things that are going. So stay tuned. We'll see. I'm really holding on. I don't want to have to give up some parts, but I think it's really headed that direction.
It's okay to do that. I did that, and I do that actually every year. Like December 31st, I sit down, I give myself like a 3-month window, and I say, okay, this is not working. December 31st, I cut things off. Like I stopped selling on Depop. I was selling on the marketplace. There's a lot of things, and I tell people just because you can do it, you don't have to do it. If you can cross list, there are people selling on like 8 platforms, and I'm like, why? Why do that? It's a lot, but if that's what you can do, but then you don't have any time and you complain. So you have to really figure out what's important. You can sell on 3 platforms and really make money. Those 8 platforms are just taking your time. It's time and energy that you're putting out there. So if it's not showing you any return, stop doing it.
I'm only on 2, and one of the things I'm considering is only being on 1 right now, because it's not a lot of time, but it is extra time to make sure that things get taken off. And shipping on one platform is not nearly as easy as the other platform, and just all that stuff. So we are at over an hour. So I am going to cut it off, but I appreciate you guys coming on and sharing all of your wealth and knowledge with us. You both are welcome back anytime that you would like. And Ashley, Leslie will be on your channel soon, I'm sure.
When I open it up, Leslie is just, the door is open because Leslie opened it, and we're gonna make that happen. So come on over and subscribe to Ashley Gibson over on YouTube, and see when Leslie comes to visit me.
Yes, Ashley and Leslie's links are down below. It's their links to their Instagram, but then they have, their links to everything else from there. Definitely follow both of these amazing women on all of their social media handles. Great knowledge. Thank you guys for coming and sharing. If you guys like content like this, do make sure to hit that subscribe button and notifications. This video is every single Monday at 6 p.m. Mountain Standard. Various different resellers from all different walks of lives and knowledge backgrounds. So we have lots of fun here, just talking about different things that come up as the guests come on. So if you guys do want to come on, just send me a DM on Instagram and we will set up a time. I'm only allowed so many people on StreamYard. So, we'll set up a time when I have other people aren't on. And if you would rather just join every single Monday in the chat, we'd love to have you there as well, or drop notes down in those comments if you're watching this in the recording. And then at least once a week, as of right now, I am dropping new videos mainly about data-driven strategies to help your reselling business, looking at your numbers to hit your goals. So I hope everyone has a great day. Make sure to hit that like. And if you share it, and you don't even have to share it to anyone, but if you hit that share button and save this video, it does help the algorithm too and is greatly appreciated. So have a good night, everyone.
Bye, friends. Thank you.